Dignit- Dignitaries on the dais, learned delegates, it's a pleasure to be out here and speaking in front of you on the most burning issue in front of Indian economy today, which is creation of employable skills amongst youth. I bring to you perspective of our organization ISECT, which has got the experience of working at the grassroots level for the last 25 years, promoting employability and skill development in the unorganized and rural sector where the actual need today resides. We today are a partner organization with the National Skill Development Corporation, and we promote skill development, employability and e-governance through a network of 10,000 centers spread across the country. Having said that, I'll come back to the theme of this presentation, which is on the higher education track, and amongst that, the creation of employable skills amongst youth. This would be the flow of my presentation. Coming directly to the point, to put things in perspective, employability is just not gaining initial employment, but also to maintain it and progress in one's career. It goes beyond acquisition of just basic skills, and it involves personal qualities, understandings, reflection, and reflecting productively on your experience. If you see the value chain of students, you start with basic industry orientation, then you impart basic technical skills to the student, then you impart job-specific skills, and finally the employable skills, which is the last mile connection with the employment for the student. Employability skills as such apply across a variety of jobs. It is contextualized to different sectors where the student is getting his employment. Employability skills do a very important role of making specific knowledge and technical skills productive. Whatever technical skills you've acquired during your program, employability skills is the one which gives you the edge to make those things productive at your workplace. Employability skills is known as key skills, life skills, transferable skills, and so on, and is actually the missing link between the real student and the employability today. So what exactly are the employability skills and what is the range? First of all, fundamental skills like literacy, using numbers and technology. Second, people-related skills like communication, negotiation, interpersonal skills, teamwork. Thinking skills where creativity, problem solving and analytical skills are involved. Personal skills where the reliability, motivation, commitment of the candidate is in center space. And finally, business skills where you can actually connect your work to the entire business space. You have a commercial awareness and you know the larger picture in which either you are creating a program or you are servicing a client or you are delivering your work. So you need to know the larger picture where you fit in as a smaller dot. Why are employability skills important? Because today's workplace is interconnected, it is complex, customers are demanding, the workplace is rapidly changing. You are supposed to be on your toes 24 hours. You are supposed to be a part of the rotational job scheme. Today you might be working in North India. Tomorrow you might be posted in East India or South India. And you need to have the adaptability to convert your skills into productive time everywhere. So with this, the key competencies which are required by the industry today is collecting and organizing information productively, communicating your ideas and information in a productive manner, planning and organizing activities, teamwork, which is a very important facet, solving problems, and lastly, which Lokesh also pointed out, is the effective use of technology in the workplace. Having said that, let's look at the current scenario of employability. In a global survey, we find that 48% of employers in India find difficulty in filling their job positions, as compared to a global average of 34%, and if you compare to China, it is 23%. So a large proportion of employers in India are having difficulty in filling their job positions. What is the reason for difficulty in filling job positions? If you see, lack of employability skills is one of the top 3 reasons which is figuring out predominantly amongst the employer surveys. And it is just behind lack of technical competency. So you see, it is as important to have the technical skills as it is to have the relevant employability skills to make you employable. The top skills which come out of this survey, which employers say are lacking in students, the first and foremost is interpersonal skills, followed closely by enthusiasm in work, collaboration, flexibility in approach, problem solving, professionalism, attention to detail, and finally ability to deal with complexity. All these skills in that ranking order are the ones which are missing and which makes the candidate unemployable today. If we see in India, we all know these figures, but if you look across the sectors, you have the employability percentage of engineering graduates ranging from 17% in IT services to IT product range, which is abysmally low of 3%, KPO, which is 9%, hardware and networking a little better at 36%, and finally BPO, which is at 41%. The criteria here for industries is a very relaxed one. We are not, the industry is not demanding ready-to-work products. Industry is demanding candidates which are at least trainable and which can be trained in a short span of time in both technical and soft skills. For that, the candidates need to have basic command on language as well as cognitive skills. The survey says that 54% of candidates lose out because they are not trainable in a short span of time on soft skills, and 46% lose out because they're not trainable in a short span of time on technical capability. The last but the important point in this slide is that SMEs, which are the backbone of employment in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, can't invest as large-scale IT companies in training facilities. And SMEs, to that extent, want ready-to-deploy products, want resources which can be used productively from first day onwards. So for SMEs, which actually increase employment in the Tier 2, Tier 3 colleges, it is that much more difficult for them to employ candidates if they're not trainable right from day one. So inculcating employability skills, where do we start? For a higher education institution, we start with the topmost point, which is the vision, where you need to have the vision to adopt best practices in the field. Then you move to deploy resources, where you build relationships with employers in a sustained manner of time. Then you invest in faculty development so that they are capable of inculcating employability skills. And finally, an institutional culture which promotes employability skills in the institutions. When you do this, this sets in a cycle where the student goes through experiential action learning, it goes through industrial exposure, and then finally he has the chance to reflect and integrate his learnings, and then finally assimilate and come out as a better individual in terms of employability. Employer involvement is the missing link and is the important key to inculcate employability. What are the various forms of employer involvement? First of all, workplace experience for trainers. We need to send trainers more and more to the industries for them to see the actual workplace and see what is happening out of the classroom. We need to engage staff from employers to come down to our higher education institutions and develop and deliver some part of training. We need to involve employers in creation of our content. We need to involve employers in providing materials for the courses. In some cases, employers can also be involved in providing their facilities for conducting some part of our training. We need to involve the employers in effective assessment of our candidates directly. And finally, employers are the best mentors because they know what use will this candidate be put to. So they are the best mentors for the students. When we do this, we do two most important things. We bring the employer into the higher education space. We send the trainee into the employment space. That is the key. That is what we need to inculcate in the institutions. Finally, we also equip the trainer for him to inculcate employability skills. We give the trainer a chance to see what is actually happening in the industry today. And finally, when the employer gets directly involved, it improves the motivation of the learners. When you see that TCS or Microsoft or even Impetus for that matter is conducting a lecture, you can see the attendance percentage of students in the colleges as compared to the regular lectures. So that is the whole point. We need to get more and more employers into the campus space, delivering lectures and taking more and more students for industrial exposures. One of the best practices which I can share is the idea of national knowledge functional hubs, which are going to be set up across regions in the country, which with the basic aim of meaningful engagement between institutions and the industry. It is a collaborative framework where a hub and spoke model is envisaged. A hub of institutions and industries in one area is going to come together, and they're going to interact meaningfully on improving the skill sets. And it will also focus on addressing the gaps which are there in the institutions today. What this will do is to get good linkages with the industry. It will promote knowledge sharing. It will help develop capacity of institutions and the trainees. It will also encourage lifelong learning skills. And finally, branding of the institutions as somebody who are serious about inculcating employability skills amongst their students. So finally, institution is really the pivot in this whole thing. You have the student coming from one direction with his past life experiences. That is one input to you. On the other hand, you have employment inputs coming to you from the industry side. With these two, what you need to do is to develop employability opportunities where you give work experience and field visits, career development skills, you inculcate diverse learning in terms of projects, presentations, group work, and formative feedback for the candidate from your side. Once you do this, and you couple this with pedagogical input and reflection by a student, hopefully, you develop employability outcomes where the student is familiar with work environment, he has the transferable skills, he has self-promotional skills, and finally, he is able to articulate that once he is sitting for the D-Day, which is the interview day, either on the campus or outside campus. And that completes the cycle, and finally, the recruitment happens. So this is a flow where institution actually is the pivot in the entire employability skills cycle. Also, on the other hand, we need to keep the learner in focus, where we need to go and tell him that these are the generic skills, and we need to highlight the importance of those skills in front of that person. We need to show students why are we doing this, why are these skills important, what will you achieve once you've gone through this course. They need to expose and articulate what they've learned. They need to use different modules which are separate from the curriculum. And finally, motivating learners by direct involvement of the employers. Because the issue also said measurement of employability skills, this is a list where all these skills can be assessed and measured effectively in institutions. Because these skills are so hazy, you can't actually grade them effectively. So once you're talking about communication, you can have presentations, role plays, group works, communicating effectively in teams. Once you say teamwork, you can have group discussions, committees, interactive activities. Problem solving can have case studies, projects and research, decision-making activities. Planning and organizing, a lot of committees, a lot of planning activities with the help of students need to be inculcated. Self-management and learning where work plans and self-evaluation tools can be brought in. And finally, technology where students have to be compulsorily made they have to use technology, and they have to be made very, we have to introduce internet and ICT skills to complete activities and their project work, and need to tell them to submit assignments online and bring in the whole flavor of technology for this life skill to come in place. Finally, what as higher education institutions we need to do is to actually come out of the entire straight-jacketed space which has been created for higher education institutions and need to interact with other stakeholders, which is the entire vocational education training framework of India. You can't forget the ITIs, polytechnics, skill development centers, and short-term courses, even if you are a higher education institution, because that is where the crunch, that is where the real requirement lies. So the entire NVEQF is a great beginning in that step, where institutions are going to impart skills at the levels 5, 6, and 7. Universities are also going to act as certifying bodies for vocational degrees or vocational diplomas, which is a welcome step. And multi-level entry and exit for all the candidates who have not been able to come into regular system, but want to have a vocational diploma to earn their degree and earn a respectable career in life. Some of the best practices at ISECT institutions, I'll just take half a minute on that. We have had an academy of skill development in the institutions to promote employability skills in all the students. We also work as vocational training providers to impart relevant skills to candidates who want to acquire vocational diplomas. We also participate as institutions under the NVEQF framework, and we have agreed to go ahead with that framework whenever that is laid out. We also promote industry-based skill development amongst students. We involve industry for regular interactions and industrial exposures. And finally, the focus on employable skills is always there. I'm sure that it's going to be talked about much more in detail when ISEC University actually makes its presentations. To conclude, we need to develop capacity in employer involvement. We need to build flexibility into training programs. We need to embed the entire concept of employability and not as an adjunct for 1 semester or 2 semesters. We need to invest in professional development of the staff. There's no getting away from that. Activities and action learning into the curriculum, engaging participants in a more qualitative and a meaningful manner. We need to assess the development of these skills in a more effective manner. Finally, an institutional culture which can inculcate employability skills, and then the resources which are meant to inculcate this and bring about a difference in the higher education space. Thank you.